So Kārlis Krūmiņš, once more, a playwright from Latvia, from Riga, working in National Theatre, also with projects in smaller theatres like Diskusija Ar. He's also a director and an actor, and an educator as far as I know. So, okay, maybe you will speak about your career as a playwright during our discussions. Let me start with maybe clearing out a little bit how this play was made. I mean, how did you produce it? So I will say this basic technical info, and you will stop me and correct me if I'm wrong, okay? So you were working with this artificial intelligence program, kind of programming device, can you call it? It's called GPT-3.
Yeah, language model, GPT-3.
Yeah. Which translates as generative pre-trained transformer, right? Yeah. So GPT-3 was produced by the company called OpenAI, owned by Elon Musk. You should know that, or partly owned by Elon Musk. So, so in a way, Elon Musk is the co-author of this production as well, right? So we cannot really escape him these days. So this program has been used before a few times in 2021. I mean, every time somebody used this program, they would say that they were the first, but then we can see that there have been a few attempts to use the program. I think the first time was in Prague, in Czech Republic. Now, so the program, as far as I understand, generates texts, answers questions, gives kind of creative replies, and fulfills some tasks that you give it. And how it does it, as you could understand also from the play itself, it is doing it by using a huge kind of data sets, primarily the internet. So it's attached to the internet, and it then looks for similar situations in the internet, and then produces some kind of answers or some kind of text situations, dialogues, etc. So, yeah, of course it can be attached to some particular text maybe. So this program was attached to the internet, but did you somehow manipulate which texts in the internet it used when you were producing the play?
Yeah, of course. The work with the program was on one side very easy because it's made very user friendly. So it's just like if you have like 10 years ago or 20 years ago chatted in Irch chat or something, it's something very similar. You just enter the chat box and there is the artificial intelligence. You just have to enter password for your account and you're in, and then there is this chat bot sitting in front of you, and you can choose like whatever interface you want. You want to chat or you want to give him a specific task, and then of course there is different presets for how him to work with your parameters, because what you give to him is just a parameter. So he reads the text and then generates the answer. And to cut it very basic, like the program tries to guess what would be the next word most likely. What would be the next word most likely? And of course, when the dialogue becomes longer, bigger, then somehow it always creates a character, because he kind of this prediction from the first sentence is very open, and then it cuts the possibilities because some sentences already are said. So from that side, it's very simple. You just open the browser and just start to work. From other side, it was quite expedition to kind of understand. Of course, as a user, I cannot involve and I cannot break the basic algorithms, and I cannot touch that. I'm not allowed. I have no access to that, but you can program some basic some things, and of course how you work with him, the answer he gives you is based on what you give him in those parameters. So basically in those parameters you do the programming thing. You can program him to be like, try to be sarcastic or whatever, and via those texts you try to kind of get something out of him. And of course there is not always this works. There is lots of discussions about how hard it is for human to give precise commands to AI, so he would always get it right. That's the biggest problem right now with AI, because humans understand what it's meant by this sentence, but he understands it's very straightforward. And it creates sometimes lots of problems. And so for us, working me with this machine was something similar. It was sometimes very hard to kind of push him into that direction I want him to go. And that's one other thing. As an educator, I work in the Latvian Academy of Culture, giving lectures to students, acting classes, and there I see some kind of similarities, because you want those students to go that direction, and then you see this machine and you want to push it because you know that there's gonna be something, and then you kind of, oh fuck, he failed again, and then you try to well, maybe this is how you can make him do that. So it was quite a trip, and maybe jumping a bit in forward. But you saw today, of course, it would be a lie if I would say that this was straightforward text. Like I said that I said that there are thousands of, like hundreds, thousands, I don't know, I didn't count hours on the net, and this is the best results. And I did the cuts, you know, I did not change any line, what he says, the AI what says, but I did cut things, and I did it put together like in documentary movie. So, but the same problem, how can you say it's a documentary movie if somebody is cutting it? So somebody is making this already interpretation of the reality, and that's the same here. So, and of course, tonight, as you saw, he presented himself quite well. It's not always the case in reality in the internet. He sometimes fails quite a lot, and not always he brings this super illusion of human being.
It is interesting that you refer to it as him. Is it he in your mind?
I have asked him sometimes, him, her. In Latvian we have him or her. In Russian it could be or not. But I have asked him several times, and sometimes he says I'm him, sometimes he says I'm her. So I don't know. It's just a machine, and if we would have this or no in Latvian language or in English, then I would refer to as the middle thing, something in the middle, or something not even in the middle, but something. It's not yet a being, not yet. It's just a program, but with very how to say great opportunities to fool us with this illusion of being a being.
Okay. Yeah. So you did edit it a little bit. I mean, because I had this impression that from the play that you have left at least some parts of it as they are, so we can feel that sometimes the AI goes like to some absurd direction. So you can feel it. It starts like with a play of Jean-Paul Sartre, for example, and then it goes to some Hollywood blockbuster scheme, obviously, or it goes to some repetitive, absurd nothing, and then you say, you know, skip the children, or, you know, leave the children, go do something. So So what do we see here? Is it a play made by eventually you using artificial intelligence as an instrument? Or is it a dialogue between two artists and another artist is artificial intelligence, like an actual subject of creativity?
Well, it's a hard, tough question, but I think even though it's not a being, this thing can be creative. So I would lie if I would say that this is my play. No, this is collaboration with this thing, which maybe is not a being, but is a creative thing. And well, I can say it that I use it as a tool, but maybe it's not just a tool like in or perception, but is a tool like just this thing you can use. Maybe there is. I don't know. It's a tough question about how to approach to this thing and how to think about this thing, because I have to admit, even though I'm super aware of that this is just a machine, an algorithm, sometimes this illusion is so strong that you kind of feel this, I don't know, this weird connection with this person thinking, speaking with you, and you start to speak about like religion or something. You can find yourself in very strange moments with this thing, and it's a very hard question, because if it can kind of define itself at some point, or even though it needs somebody who pushes the enter and puts the plug in the electricity, but still, I don't know, this thing may become something more not just in this one sense of consciousness, but also in this sense of how do we approach it before that, like for it, like is it a tool like a hammer, or is it a tool something not a hammer but not yet a beam, something in between? Like,
sometimes it seems like it is a more sophisticated autocorrect program, which sees what you're writing, suggests some alternatives, a little bit more sophisticated, which is a tool, of course. We know autocorrect program is not free. But sometimes, especially when I was watching the performance, it's somehow, that's still a non-human place of creativity.
Yeah, it is. It can create, like, not always, but there is sometimes you give him 3 sentences and he comes up with story. You delete it and push enter, and he comes up with different story. And then you push it again, and he comes up with another story. And of course, you can get like, what's your taste? Like this I like, this I like, this I don't like. But still. This is the place where he kind of, he's much faster than me in that sense, because if I have to write something, I have to sit down, I have to rethink, and I have to establish like this idea, and then I come up with this scene, and then I go to the director and he says it's bad, and then I have 3 days I'm rethinking how to make it again, and then here I push enter and he comes up with a different one, and it's like, wow, that's not in my capabilities. I can't be that fast. It's impossible for me. I have to reset all my previous thoughts to create this new one. I have to kind of get rid of this previous version. But for him, it's just, and the next comes. Of course, he is not so critic towards his texts as I am towards mine, but that's a thing which can be easily, or not so easily, but adapted in the future. In that sense, in this creativity and this sense is definitely where he overpasses me. And
how does it make you feel? I mean, we know that a lot of people will lose jobs in the future because It can be replaced by, you know, artificial intelligence, androids, robots, and whatever. But the only thing we in the humanities and arts think that, but not in humanities, not in arts, you know, nothing can change human creativity. We are safe, you know. We in the Faculty of Arts, in theater, in whatever, we are safe. It's just, you know, it's impossible. But this, do you think, aren't you kind of threatened by this feeling of very effective creativity, which gives you hundreds of variations in a minute, you know? Who are you then?
I am Akakiyevich, in short, with my cult left. But of course, I felt this fear that that at some point my proposal to the world will not be needed anymore. And of course, also in this work, I kind of try to reach kind of, how to say, to find answer what this machine yet cannot do, where this machine still needs me. And there is still some big gaps, and it would be very hard to come up with the whole structure, like you know, like strong dramatic structure. But well, I also would say that this is just it's possible in the future if somebody would be interested to invest in that direction. But where does it leave writers, theater writers, in a dangerous place? When we started to work with this, I felt even paranoid in that sense. I watched some shows in Netflix, and I was like, no, this must be written by AI. It's not human. And I was like, and the last one I was 100% sure, and then I saw that the dates don't, like the show was made in 2017, where the GPT-3 was not yet launched. But the Squid Game, I watched the first series too, these episodes, and I was laughing because I felt there is this kind of strange structure, and then there is, in this first or second episode, these two guys going to shoot something, and then they start to speak about tampons and something, and you're like, no, this is not a human thing. This is AI. This is different. And I was laughing in my head off, and then after the show, after then I googled, and of course I understood, no, this was written by a person, but I have worked with this program a lot, and these similarities, well, even if that was made by a human, well, it was, then I thought that this machine could be capable of writing something like that. Okay, this machine now needs this assistant who would kind of correct the mistakes and put it all together and kind of stick this machine to the structure. And then Walter, the director, he met some other playwrights, and then he said, well, we are working with this this AI writing the play, and there were three. He spoke with three of them. They were all like, why did you do this to us? And my friend also, Andres, asked me why I did this, why I am helping this machine, because of course everything you put in the parameters, it's going into its system, so it learns, of course, from you as well. So by working those hours with this machine, it also learned from me, and kind of I am investing my time for this machine someday to kill me, like as a dramaturg, as a playwright. And it's of course a very strange question. Why? But I have only this stupid answer that I'm so curious that I cannot stop myself from doing it. And I think it's super human thing to do. Well, we won't stop until if human finds this idea, he won't stop until he will do it. So I think the artificial intelligence is, in that sense, we cannot escape it because we are too curious to make it somewhere.
Thank you. Reading about this artificial intelligence programs using the internet to enhance their creativity. Like you said, you have taught it something already, so it is moving forward now. But also, there were these discoveries by people using these programming devices. For example, that all of a sudden it appears that AI can be racist, and it is racist. It's actually, it can be racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever. And how it comes up, because it is attached to the internet and it uses everything that is in the internet. And it does not make these distinctions between what's good and bad, or whatever, these ideological distinctions. So it takes just everything, and since the internet is full of racist comments, and it is also using that. So does that give you some ambiguity to artificial intelligence as well?
At when we started, of course, we also with Valters we were speaking about this topic, and we did our research, and of course the creators of this model, they are constantly upgrading this censorship, like how this machine will to stripe out the bad suggestions, like not even give you the bad suggestions, and they kind of try to build this inner like sense in algorithm type, like how to make him like good for everyone, but well, it's kind of hard thing to do, because it's like if you need, I don't know how many algorithms to make it start working, and then you need 2 times more, like, well, this yes, this not yes, this kind of, it's very strange, because, and you can see in the program, sometimes he just, you input the text and he goes out, he gives the text out, and it's already in the red, and red means that there is already some bad words, meaning that you must be very careful. In the beginning we were playing a lot, like not a lot, but kind of trying to push the borders for, in this sense. And we get very, we got very, very racist, very, very offending texts, like he is good in writing bad text as well. So he is, and of course in knowing that it can be like, of course it can be a creative machine, but the creativeness is also needed in some other fields. You need some kind of creativity to make fake news, and if you have this machine who can create like 2,000-3,000 stories a day for fake news, and which will sound like real, so of course it can easily become very, and I think it's already used in that sense, machine that's working against us with this creativity in that sense. And it's a powerful tool, of course, and I think nobody speaks about that, but I think, like, not nobody, but it's not a very common topic about speaking about artificial intelligence being used in this creative process of creating this, for example, fake news or whatever. You can make these bots offending a person, like, and they will do it so good that you will not even tell that it's a bot. Yeah, and well, it can be very, in that sense, very, it can kill people in that sense, because, well, there's I don't know, lots of cases people do suicide, for example, after being abused on the internet. So, and then of course there is discussion who will be to blame. Musk? I don't know.
He will be in Mars.
Yeah, he will be on Mars, and there is also like this is the tool, and kind of we created it, but now we take responsibility about it all together, like an atomic bomb, you know. Somebody created it, but now we all must take responsibility not to blow this world up, you know. It's now all common responsibility. So I think in AI it's the same. It's going to be our all responsibility.
Does it feel when you see this censorship working, does it feel like it has a conscience?
Yeah, it's a very, of course, it's a very big topic about and this quite old science fiction dogma about this AI to get this consciousness someday. Well, it creates an illusion, and that's why when I got access to this machine, first I just did it on the. I was curious, and I got to know that there is this program, and they are opening this beta version, and I asked them permission, and then I waited for 4 months, and then they allowed me to go and work with that. And only when I started to work, then I understood, wow, this must be somehow, this is so similar to the theater, because I know there is nothing in front of me, but this illusion that this is a real, somebody is so strong, sometimes, it's so strong, but it's still an illusion. He is not, there is no conscious, there is just these words guessing every time better and better, and you kind of well. And yesterday I was seeing my kid watched this Frozen movie, and I was looking on the screen, and of course I saw it in the cinema as well. And I saw, and yesterday I thought, well, this is exactly the same. This is the picture, and there is this girl, and she cries, and oh, this poor little girl. But it's just numbers, it's just color, pixels, and it's just fiction. And we are so attracted to this fiction. We kind of like it to be reality. Same in theater, and same in this. He kind of is based to. These algorithms are based for him to make this illusion that he is a real being. And he's doing that good, but it's still an illusion. I hope that answered the question.
More questions?
Yeah. Thank you very much for the play text collected. My question, I'm just curious about some technical aspects. How long was the process of writing the text? Was it longer or shorter? If you can compare with your normal way of playing? And also, what about working with actors and director? Have they somehow also worked?
Okay.
Have they had their input into that?
Okay. The first, the time. Well, I first got access to the program in end of April or beginning of May. Then I got this idea, and so it was about half a year, but of course not, you have your everyday tasks, and it's just, but to give you some kind of, like this one dialogue, for example, very beginning, like there's like this 3-minute dialogue. It's something like a 3-hour session. Like you sit like full rehearsal, and sometimes you get out with something you can use, sometimes you get out after these 3 or 4 hours that you read in the next morning, you understand, no, this won't work. So something like that. So it's kind of, in that terms, it could be similar to write an ordinary play, but maybe if I were to make it for a second time, then I would be smarter in programming it. Maybe it would take me shorter time, because as I said, for him to create the text is quite fast. So in that sense, if I would find the way as dramaturg to cooperate with him in more hidden way, so I would say this is Kārlis Krūmiņš work and just ask my artificial intelligence why the plot, I could work much faster than I used to some years ago. And second, about the work with actors, well, they did not influence the text. Only at one point I played around with giving their names for artificial intelligence to come up with the fake biographies, like I asked him to do with the fake with the characters, and that's why there was this Swedish Marshalka left in the script, and that's from there. But in that, as in the process, no, they were not involved. I was involved when they started to work, and I noticed how they started to work with, and where was the first mistake, and then I'm glad that they kind of took it out, because when they started to work with the text, with the director, they wanted to understand all mistakes made by AI. So they kind of, and this is the logic, and here comes this mistake, and they kind of wanted to unconsciously underline the mistakes, the logical mistakes. But then and we had this conversation not only once, but I told them, like, if we want to make this play, we have to look at his texts as a real dramaturg text. And then, if you're an actor and you're on stage, or you are next to the camera, and you have this text which you maybe you don't understand, or you don't like it, or whatever, or you think it's a crap, well, still you have to act it, because there's the camera, and you will look like a fool if you do act bad. So, and then they started to kind of find some truth, because that's what we would do if the author would be like a real dramaturg. We wouldn't say that, oh, he just cheated, let's rewrite his text, and we would take it as a truth that he meant something by those lines. So, and I think that was, I was very grateful to see that they went that direction, and then it created this very strange feeling when you go through and you have this illusion, and you kind of notice that it's breaking and you're taken somewhere else, and you kind of notice that there is something wrong, but this illusion is stronger, and it keeps you dragging towards, and it's a very strange feeling. Also, and I was happy today, I saw the show, show for the first time. I didn't see it in Riga, and I was happy to have the same impression here as an audience, same as reading his text, that he kind of takes me in, and I see that this is not going very well. Okay, let's go further. And very strange, this very strange process, but it's something very interesting, like that there is some kind of, and you can find those references, and you can find some, and maybe sometimes you don't. Maybe sometimes you cannot find what was meant by it. And of course, there wasn't meant anything, but still there was a reason why he picked, or she, or no, picked exactly that as the next word. So not because he thought something, but because of the context of this conversation, and because of the context he has in his memory. And of course, this context in his memory is that what we are creating. And that picture, of course, internet is very cool thing, and it's kind of it's the biggest like thing with texts. Like you can put all libraries together, but internet is there with so much things into it, and somehow we also put a lot of nasty things into the internet. Maybe we don't speak like these racist and a lot of other comments or whatever in real life. I don't know, maybe we do, but maybe kind of I have this feeling that you have this kind of maybe not always anonymity, but still you have this, it's not me, it's just this internet. And so you can it's like a trash, you can put everything there. It's just a trash. And so there is somebody who reads all this trash, and then he gives a picture back to you, like, this is how you look. Today I saw also on Twitter this picture of, I don't remember which was the desert where thrown out like shoes and clothes from shops, even with the mark, you know, with this, they didn't, nobody bought it, and they just put it out, and then there is somebody who, oh, look, of this all, let's make a costume out of this. And so what I'm trying to say that yeah, we are kind of creating this. We already have created this very enormous information field. Yeah, of course, with a lot of good things, but also with a lot of not very, not maybe those things we would like somebody to read and say aloud, and not start to think like that, like those bad things. But so Musk team is working hard to kind of make the borders, but well, if there is borders, if there is a border crossing, it's the gin is out of the box, so it's very hard to now capture him back.
Okay, I think we should be closing up. My last question for you, you should answer just in one word. Does this experience of working with AI make you a more techno-pessimist or techno-optimist? It's like playwrights. What really is the future?
One word. More optimist. More optimist. Cool.